Hello, it's Edmund here. It's You Should Have Played It, and this is the most special, the most important You Should Have Played It that I will ever record. Here before and here forever after. It is the original Starcraft, and you absolutely should have played this game. If Lemmings was the first computer game that really captured my attention and fascinated me, and Doom was the first game that encouraged me to play multiplayer, then Starcraft was the first game that taught me that I am trash. No, I'm just kidding. Starcraft actually has this reputation as the most difficult of difficult games that there ever was. And it's actually not the case. Starcraft is an amazing first strategy game to get into, and it's in fact incredibly easy to get into. The single player is actually very easy and has a very slow wind up, because when this game came out there just weren't many strategy games at all. So everybody who picked this game up, and I picked it up like I was very young at the time, you know, we were all picking it up from a point of zero. And so I guess what I'm getting at, or what I'm saying here, is that if you're going to play StarCraft against like some mad, insanely skillful, you know, South Korean like boxer or Jaedong or something, then yeah, it's the hardest game on earth. But you're just going to play it single player. It's in fact a very, very easy game, very simple to pick up, and it does a very good job of explaining everything, teaching you how to play step by step by step. So as a first game, a first strategy game, or something to get you into strategy games, the first StarCraft is the perfect game, and it's free. You can just go to battle.net, make an account, and download it and play it. There is a remastered version of the game which you can also get for the equivalent of about £12.50 in whatever your currency is. But I really like the style of the original game, if I'm going to be honest here. So I have not felt the need to purchase the remastered edition. I mean, what is there to say? What can be said about this game? It really is one of the best games ever. And that's not a statement that I make lightly. It truly isn't. Of course it's a product of its time. It's not got any of the mod cons that you might find in today's games in terms of, you know, control groups, say, you know, being able to, you can only select more than 12 units, although that's possibly part of the strategy, or it's become part of the strategy in the multiplayer, because it really tests how well you can juggle groups of units, and that becomes like a core skill to playing well in the multiplayer. But in the single player it's just completely unnecessary. And the story is very good. It's engaging. I personally played this game as a kid for probably 8 hours a day every day till my wrists basically fell off, because it was just so good. It's as simple as that. And so I'm making this video as a personal appeal to anybody who has not played the original StarCraft. You should play this game. Go and download it for free and play it. Play through the single-player story. It's really good. And watching other people play StarCraft is also incredibly entertaining. I mean, maybe not watching me play the single-player, but those top Koreans that we mentioned earlier, when you have played this game and you understand how difficult it is to play, you then you appreciate watching the streams of StarCraft. You come to appreciate how difficult it is to do what the pro gamers are doing, and that dramatically adds to the entertainment value. So there are some original Starcraft tournaments out there still going strong. One's called the Star League and the other is called the ASL. If you want to watch Starcraft, I recommend that you watch the ASL. There are some complete seasons of it available on a Freaker TV on YouTube, and if you've never played Starcraft before, or never gotten into it, or never watched the professionals play it, you can watch. Try and avoid being spoiled on them. You can go and watch the guys play it from beginning to end, pretty much spoiler free, and you'll be entertained. I promise you. If you play through the single player and you come to understand the game, and then you go and watch the pros play it, it is very fascinating. And I have been playing StarCraft on and off since I was 11, 12, 13, 14. I can't remember. It's been a long time. And it's still a game that I feel like is worth playing. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that in terms of gameplay, this game actually just feels more fun to play than StarCraft 2 does, but that's a personal opinion. And there aren't really any other strategy games out there that I've enjoyed as much as this. In fact, it's an absolute fact that I have never enjoyed a strategy game as much as I have enjoyed playing StarCraft. I mean, that's indisputable to me. There are certainly some games out there that I can recommend that are very good, like Rise of Nations, for example. I very much enjoyed that. But none of those games are StarCraft. That's the bottom line. So, yeah, obviously in this first mission here, and this just goes to show how easy this game is to get into. The first mission is simply a case of just making workers, mining minerals, building supply depots, and you see here the advisor is telling me, like, this is a barracks and you can build soldiers here. You know, this, you have to understand, this is a time, this game is from a time when there weren't any or many strategy games out there. There was basically Command and Conquer. Let's be honest here. There was Command and Conquer, there was the old Warcraft games, and that's it. I mean, other games, you know, I was there. I played all the games back then. There weren't a huge amount of games out there, but there were other games. There was like a game called the Baldies, if anyone remembers that. There was a game called Zed, which I personally liked a lot, and I did do a You Should Have played it on that. But StarCraft is the game, the strategy game, by which all others are measured. And in many ways, it's a shame that it's not as hugely popular as it was. Now, I know you're thinking, like, you know, all games die eventually, right? You know, new games come out, old games get old, people move on, etc. But there, in terms of gameplay, there hasn't been a replacement for StarCraft. That's the bottom line. No other game just plays as neatly as this does. And so I have never really moved on from it, and a lot of people have never really moved on from playing StarCraft. And now there's a whole generation of people who have never played it, and it's still the recommendation, in much the same way as Free Space 2 is still the space game that you should have played even to this day. In fact, there is a HD remake for that as well, which you don't even have to pay for because it's community based. But there's a HD remake for this, which Blizzard, the official company that makes StarCraft, have put out there, as I mentioned before. So, yeah, it's just a game that you should have played. This is the bottom line. And really, I'm making this video not for anyone who's already a fan of StarCraft, but for anyone who is a fan of StarCraft that wants to get someone else into StarCraft, or for anybody who's never played StarCraft. I just want to show you that, like, this game, it's easy to get into, it's easy to play the single player, or you could play the multiplayer, but just play against the AI or play against someone else who's not very good, and you'll have lots of fun. You know, just don't go on the South Korean ladder, because you're going to get wrecked. There have been people who have been practicing this game for nearly 2 decades now, so I can't recommend that you go on the ladder. That is where the game gets very, 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 very difficult. And you see here, I've just like beaten the first story mission completely on autopilot. So the game holds up. Basically, you have these lovely briefings, which are all voiced and animated. And honestly, this is missing from a lot of today's games. They've gotten lazy. They don't have videos anymore. Voice acting has become maybe a few lines here and there, or a few particular very important scenes have got some voice acting added to the proceedings. Whereas, you know, Starcraft, everything is voiced. Every bit of plot is animated and explained. It's all very, very well done and very entertaining. I must admit, this is one area where Command & Conquer, I feel like, was slightly better, at least relative for its time. Command & Conquer is a much older game, relatively speaking. But it had videos, full motion videos, and I miss that stuff. I miss the kind of corny movies in between missions and such, but I miss this as well. Right? Modern games, a mission briefing is a wall of text that you read, if you can be bothered to read it, which is a bit sad. This was the coolest thing at the time, learning that you could make your buildings fly. Like, I was amazed by this. Because in other games, you know, like Age of Empires or Command & Conquer or whatever, you certainly couldn't make a building fly. That wasn't a thing. And it's just funny how the little things like that sort of were novel and new and amazing, and you're just kind of like, wow, that's never been done before. And you know, these days you can do so many things that are not what's the word, they're not difficult to do or using a modern system, if you know what I mean. God, this is hard to do. You don't need to do this, but I'm actually doing Vulture Micro here, which is actually a relatively difficult task to do, but I just want to do it because it just reminds me of the old days. Doing stuff here like letting my macros slip, but it doesn't matter for single player, of course. And I've got off-clicking, which is a bit of an issue. Though when you record certain old games, you get this issue where you click your mouse is actually slightly to the left or slightly to the right of where the game registers it, which is pretty difficult to micro around. So I'm using the stop key to shoot and stop, which is another way of doing the same trick, but it's a slightly less accurate and efficient way. But none of this is necessary to enjoy StarCraft. None. You know, you can just select your units, ball them together, press the A key, and they'll just walk along and attack everything in their path, and it won't be too bad. I'll pull him back so that the group is together. But you see, you can just make your guys walk and attack, and they'll actually just walk and attack, which is what happens in modern games. So a lot of the modern features, I suppose, of strategy games kind of started in StarCraft. But it doesn't feel old. You know, the way it plays, it does not feel out of place or you know, I don't know if you've ever gone back and tried to play something like Age of Empires and everything just feels very clunky and I don't know what the right word is, like sticky, if you know what I mean. Things are not smooth and clean like you would expect from a modern game, but StarCraft doesn't feel like that. StarCraft actually feels pretty good. So you can just play it and not feel like you're playing your grandpa's BBCB or Micron or friggin' Spectrum or something. It doesn't feel like that at all. Looks like I haven't actually captured this building up here. This was another cool thing about this game at the time, was that you can capture neutral buildings or whatever as part of the plot. Well, I think you could do it in Age of Empires as well, but this game was just a very, very nicely made, very nicely polished game. It did have, don't let people fool you into thinking that this was the most beautifully, perfectly, forever balanced game. It is now. Starcraft's balance is amazing now, but it never used to be. Early on, like really early on, siege tanks could shoot across like 3 screen lengths, or at least it felt like 3 screen lengths, and they were blatantly overpowered, but they got nerfed. There was quite a bit of balance adjustment before Starcraft became the amazing sort of game that it is today. But this is exactly what I keep on getting back to, is this is an amazing game today. And just because it's old does not mean that you shouldn't play it. If you have time to play some casual like mobile game or whatever, or some clicky game, not that I'm judging you or anything. I'm totally judging you. No, like, I understand that sometimes you just want to play like some sort of Clash of Clans style clicky sort of clicky game that appeals to the kleptomania and everybody, but if you have that kind of spare time and you've not played StarCraft, you should play StarCraft. Absolutely, you should play StarCraft. Oh man, I'm so annoyed with myself right now. I'm like floating so many minerals and just playing badly. And it's, you know, it totally does not matter, right? The single player campaign, as I said, it's easy. It brings you into the game gently. So you can enjoy this irrespective of your skill level. You can really enjoy StarCraft. You don't have to be some incredibly high APM superhuman to enjoy StarCraft. I think that's the #1 misconception that I really want to squash here. But I used to be that guy that could play. So it's annoying me that I'm playing badly. I haven't got positional hotkeys set up, so I can't rapidly switch between my base and the front line, which is what you need to macro while you're doing your micro. By the way, macro and micro, in case you don't know, because I mean this video really is for people who have not played strategy games and are wanting to get into them. Macro just means to produce lots of units at home, and micro means to actually control your units in the battle. That's just putting it simply, really. So I'm just sort of saying here that I'm doing these two things separately, whereas the best players can do both at the same time and do it well, which I am not doing right now. But anyway, so the story, I'm just going to cover a little bit of it here. You play as the Terrans, which are sort of human race, although they seem to be more like space hicks than anything else. And you encounter a alien race called the Zerg, and the Zerg is not known for its friendliness. And that's just sort of how the plot starts. It's a bit like Alien, I suppose, if you will, or Warhammer, if you were into that. And it just sort of goes on from there. But it's an epic story, which, as a young teenager, I very much enjoyed every minute of it, and I couldn't wait to see what happened next. But I feel like a lot of people get put off by the stories of StarCraft being an impenetrable, super difficult game that no one can ever hope to beat without spending their entire life practicing it. And that's the most unfortunate thing of all, is this is the game that you really should play. And so I'm sort of getting to the point here where I'm rambling a little bit, but it's worth rambling, because the only thing that I want anybody to take away from this video is that you should give this game a chance. Give it a play, give it a go. really fun to play. That's the bottom line. And what more does a game need to be than to just be fun, right? I mean, what else do you really want from a game? I mean, you know, admittedly, if all you really want from a game is for it to be really pretty, then Starcraft is going to fall down a little bit on that front. But I don't think it looks bad. Plus, it's got a wicked sense of humor. So, I'll show you a little thing about Starcraft. If you take a unit and you just click on it over and over again, it says all kinds of funny stuff. There you go. Hang on. Are you gonna give me orders? I love it. How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit? I love it. It was edgy at the time, I think. Oh! I just like ordered my guys to kill my own unit there. A classic mistake. This is where I'm going to get into trouble now.
Receiving incoming transmission.
Marshal Rayner, by destroying the vital Confederate installation, you and your men have violated standard colonial law. As of right now, you're all under arrest.
Look at this garbage.
Suggest you throw down your weapons and come peaceably. Are you out of your mind? If we had burned that damn factory, this entire colony would
This is
many of you had taken.
setting up the story. It's funny because the Terrans are their own worst enemies as much as the Zerg are.
Now throw down them weapons. Guess you wouldn't be a Confederate if you weren't a complete pain in the ass.
Victory! Yeah. Yep. So this is it, really. Starcraft is the game you should have played. Amongst all the games that you should have played, this is the one that you should have played the most. If you could only ever play one game, if you had to pick one game to play or to take with you to the desert island or whatever your particular metaphor is, it should have been this game. Or it is this game, right? Let's be honest here. I must admit, I don't find it as fun as I did 10 years ago, but I have played tens of thousands of hours of this game. So, you know, what game can stand up to that level of abuse? Not many. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope if you're watching this and you've never heard of StarCraft before and someone's linked you to this video, that you'll give it a try and you'll get into it. And if you get into it, you know, once you've played through the story or whatever, come and watch it. ASL's what I recommend that you watch. It's a Freaker TV that does it. You can find it on YouTube. Just type in ASL Starcraft. You'll definitely find it. And I wish I was you. I wish I could forget all about this game so that I could play it again, having never played it and never known how good it was. Bit like that bit from Red Dwarf, you know, where the computer erases the fact that it's read certain books that it really likes so it can read them again for the first time. That's it for now. I'll catch you next time. Oh no, let's not catch you next time. Let's just watch this. You got some poor feller's dog, Sarge.
Smaller type of Zerg. They got this far unless. Oh shit.
Ah, you're in trouble now.
I love you, Sarge.
I love you, Sarge. Oh, I love it. Come on. This alone should be a reason to play this game, right? Okay, next time.